we've all heard the adage of people saying time heals all wounds. So we don't agree at all with that adage. And a lot of science is showing that time doesn't heal anything. It just passes. It's what we do with the time that really makes a difference. So if you are going through something traumatic and you're just waiting for time to go by, you're probably filling your life with a lot of coping mechanisms. And in most cases, most human beings are highly evolved at filling their lives full of what we call short-term emotion avoidance tactics and survival mechanisms. Now, these mechanisms are important because they meet needs, but they meet needs in the short term. They are designed to help us avoid dealing with our emotions, and they also can undermine some of our other needs. So survival mechanisms like drinking too much, eating too much sugar, hiding out, or talking anxiously and quickly and oversharing, these mechanisms can cause carnage and can cause damage to our lives overall. So in that undermining of other needs, they're not the best way to actually cope and thrive. So what we need to be doing in that time that we have is to actually slow everything down and to process what has happened. So it's not time that heals the wound. It is actually learning that produces healing. So if we're not actively listening to our emotions and learning the signals that are associated to them, finding out what needs of ours were violated during this trauma that we have just been through, leaning in and understanding what has happened from different perspectives, getting to the source of what was behind this, what we can take responsibility for. If we're not doing that work, we're not actually going to be on a fast track to getting healed at all. So getting on that healing track requires an active engagement. It requires the installment of growth resources so that you stop filling your life with all the stuff that kind of makes you feel better in the short term, but kicks the ball down the fence in terms of actually like getting better. And we also see that people that have kind of done this time heals all wound approach, they don't actually deal with their triggers in real life. So what is a trigger? A trigger is how we know that someone has not recovered from trauma. When someone is very easily triggered, they're antsy, you can set them off like this. They are easily like set off by things. So either angrily or emotionally. They get emotional very quickly, or they get dysregulated really quickly. That's a sign that they have not processed and healed from past-based trauma. And the past-based trauma has a tentacle from that past moment into the present moment called a trigger. So you can tell how dysregulated someone is or how unprocessed someone is based on how many triggers they've got within their lives. So someone that's got a lot of triggers, they have a lot of unprocessed trauma. So time hasn't healed the wound for them. It passed and they filled their lives with lots of avoidance tactics, but they haven't necessarily gone in and done the work. You can tell that somebody has done the work when they can talk about their traumas and the fact that maybe in the past that they've been triggered, or if they do get triggered, they really own their trigger and take responsibility for it. You can tell that they've done that work when they're aware of all those mechanisms and processes that are happening in the background. The lack of awareness shows the lack of in-depth engagement with their past and in-depth engagement with their actual healing that needed to be done. So if you are in that space where you notice you're in a relationship, you're being triggered left, right, and center, you are easily startled, easily like hyper, you're easily emotional, easily gut feeling, freaking out, mistrusting, double checking. Somebody does something and you're like, oh, he's cheating on me, or oh my gosh, like he's lying, or she's lying, or like I'm sure she's up to something. You will think you're doing the smart thing by reacting on that information. But the truth is that when you have unprocessed trauma, you cannot actually trust your gut, because your gut could be a trigger. Your gut could be full of triggers, and it could be feeding you triggering information that is inaccurate when we actually study the data in the background, or we study the facts in front of us. And you could end up sabotaging a relationship or sabotaging your connection with somebody by being so overly triggered in the first place. So if you find that that is you, it's important for you to understand that time has not healed the wound for you. And you need to start engaging in an active process to learn and to grow and to put the past behind you where it belongs. That's what we do in our programs. Our programs are educationally built. They're built on skill development. They're built on learning being really critical to that healing journey. And that's how we've built everything that we have done in terms of how people recover from trauma. So if you want to find out more about that, book yourself a clarity call with somebody on my team, and we'll talk you through exactly how we help people on that healing journey. Take care.